most important lesson I learned running for Congress this year is that Republicans and Libertarians don't lose, conservatives will say. Conservatives don't lose because of the Democrats and the corrupt media, which they are, right? Particularly in Vermont, we have very corrupt governmental organizations, all these things. But even in spite of all of that, we lose. Republicans lose because of Republicans, Libertarians lose because of Libertarians. People are absolutely unwilling to work together to be strategic. They're unwilling to set aside maybe their own individual particular goal to get a candidate who will fight for the thing that they want. So one of the things that I ran into all of the time was libertarian, conservative-minded people who were like, well, if you don't talk about this on the campaign trail, then I'm not voting for you. And I'm like, okay, so you want me to talk about a topic that in Vermont particularly is not gonna get me any voters, like in a state that is 70% Democrat and independent, okay? I have to get, 70% independent. 70% of Vermonters consider themselves independent. So if I need to get those people to win, and Republicans and Libertarians want me to run on the most far-right conservative things, well, you just want me to lose. You're just setting me up to lose then, because the 70% of people that we need to win the election are not thinking about those things. They're not thinking about whether or not it's reasonable for us to have driver's licenses, or even like abortion was a really big topic. I personally am pro-life, but I recognize that the majority of Vermonters are pro-choice. And so my argument was, I'm pro-life, but I recognize that most people are not here. So what I would like to see is an equal playing field. So if we as Vermonters have decided we're going to give $1.5 million to Planned Parenthood and abortion providers, then we need to give $1.5 million to pregnancy resource centers and organizations that want to help women keep their baby. Because otherwise, we've made the choice for people. We're not pro-choice, we're pro-abortion. So can we just have equal representation? And that made me a crazy person. So like even trying to have a reasonable stance made Republicans not want to vote for me. They were calling me pro-abortion.
So
and all this other nonsense.
What if we had a my body, my choice principle and said, you know what, anyone who wants to purchase birth control no longer needs permission from a doctor. That is an actual my body, my choice principle. Whereas when it's usually said, it usually involves the killing of a fetus, which I am against. So the goal is, let's do everything in the peaceful voluntary sector before we are at the point where they go to Planned Parenthood, which I think is terrible.
You know what? I think that's actually a really good transition point, Keith, because did you start the Libertarian Institute?
No. This was an organization started by a gentleman named Scott Horton, William Grigg, and Sheldon Richmond. I'm the managing editor at the Libertarian Institute.
Okay, managing editor.
Basically what we are, libertarianinstitute.org, it's a free educational archive where anyone can go, use the search engine, check out history, philosophy, economics, Ukraine, minimum wage, healthcare, inflation, any of those topics you're interested in.
Yes.
We want you to be able to use the search engine and get the freedom position on that. We also have a news editor, Kyle Anzalone, constantly keeping you up to date, trying to see through the propaganda that is so often foisted on us.
Well, and I think what you said, the way you worded it was, can we go down the list of other options? Can we try all these other things first before we go to the most extreme? And I think what we see so much in the rhetoric and conversations and even in policy making these days is it's not about being reasonable. It's not about, affecting the least amount of people when we write a law or whatever, right? That's the point, is the government is supposed to not be too intrusive. Supposed to be, okay? But now it's like everything is the extreme. If you want, let's say you're pro-choice up to like 3 months, well then you're either, a baby killer, or why are you, why do you hate women? Okay, and it's like neither of those is the answer to that. Neither of those is the answer to that thing. What do you think? I feel like libertarianism is the gap in the middle, where everybody's just trying to be live their lives and be reasonable and not get messed with.
Yeah, it's usually how we operate the vast majority of our interactions, where we will try and persuade people, but we will not threaten or coerce them. Much like I will have people come to my door, knock, and say, look, terrible news. If you don't do the following, you're going to burn in a fiery pit for all of eternity. We're the Jehovah's Witness, we're the Mormons. You got to believe this, you got to read this book. And to their credit, they give me the option to burn in a fiery pit for all of eternity if I choose so. Now, the government advocates will tell me, I am looking out for your well-being so much, I am so terrified that the educational system will not get X amount of funding that we're going to coerce you. We'll separate you from your family, as we're told is a terrible thing, which it is, and we're going to put you in a cage and shoot you if you resist. That does not feel like a kind, virtuous organization that I want anything to do with, but that is what any law is. Imagine if the Catholic Church did ever what the state does every single day, under the guise of regulating you or just helping you, or giving to charity, and by charity they mean taking 10% of your income, promising to jail you if they don't
Under
catch
the threat of a gun.
if they don't catch you chipping in. What other organization would we allow to do this? It's like Russia buys some ads on Twitter and Russia's taken over America, but the government steals in 2022 $6.27 trillion, and we're just like, well, without them, bad things might happen. Well, because of them, many bad things do happen.
Yep.
So now all of this comes back to, I've completely lost my place again. All of this comes back to the double standard that people have. They see government as operating outside of society, and this is the primary reason that states seek to monopolize the education system. They don't try and offer you an alternative. If Kamala Harris catches you not attending the school, she will implement truancy laws, as she did when she was Attorney General.
And send their parents
This
to
is
jail.
why it's so dangerous.
Yep,
An
absolutely.
actual case of separating children from their families. So that's what we're trying to do at the Libertarian Institute, is we'd love for them to change and start telling the truth about history, economics, and philosophy. In the meantime, we're creating an alternative at libertarianinstitute.org. And what I basically did was I spent about 15 years collecting all the things I read that took me from being a progressive to being a libertarian, and I put them in a book titled The Voluntarist Handbook, which you can find a free PDF of at libertarianinstitute.org. Those are the 50 essays and articles and quotes and excerpts that persuaded me that libertarianism was a superior way to arrange society. It's consistent with the leftist idea that people should be treated with dignity, people should be treated as equals among one another, and the conservative idea of being civilized in society. I can't get a penny out of your pocket unless you voluntarily give it to me. I don't get a second of your time unless you voluntarily associate with me. So it's the thou shalt not murder and thou shalt not kill applied consistently to the state.
Well, and that's what I remember hearing a Walter Williams quote one time that just really, there was so much that he said that was really meaningful to me, but he said, it's not charity to reach into someone else's pocket to give it to another person. And he ran through and he told this whole story about, now, if I'm out and I see a man on the street and he is homeless and he needs some help, and I take $10 out of my pocket and I give it to him, or I take money out of my pocket and I give him a hotel room, a warm meal, whatever, that is charity. But when the government wants to help that homeless man and he says, well, now, Keith, I need you to give me $10 out of your pocket that I'm going to go and I'm going to bring and I'm going to give to this man. And again, like you said, at the threat of a gun, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm pointing a gun. You must give me this money to give to another person. And in any other context, that would be theft. And so when people mock at the hashtag taxes are theft, I'm like, what else do you call it?
I'm actually not kidding. I'm actually not kidding.
I know, this is what I'm saying. Like, what else do you call it when somebody takes your stuff without permission? What else would you call that?
There's nothing else, and that's why they need universities and a big propaganda machine to justify it. Because if the Koch brothers, God forbid, tried issuing taxes, if Amazon tried issuing taxes, or Walmart, we'd see it as, oh, look, a terrible scam. We should defend ourselves against these psychos. So that of course is great. I got to give you my favorite Walter Williams moment.
Okay.
He goes, so the feminists are telling us that the free market's terrible because women earn about 75% of what a man earns. Terrible news. Not only are entrepreneurs discriminating against women, turns out unmarried men earn 35% less than married men. So they're discriminating against unmarried men too. And whites earn less than Asians. They're discriminating against everyone. What a terrible system.
Oh my God.
That was my favorite Walter Williams
It really
moment.
is
Rest in peace,
so
sir.
racist,
Oh my gosh,
misogynist, terrible here.
And then he mentioned 48-year-olds get paid more than 18-year-olds. There's terrible ageism, therefore. Of course, it doesn't account for different jobs, different experience. So it's just such a joke. I hate that division. Good thing is that the libertarian movement can really provide people with villains to hate and heroes to love, which is those who achieve their ends peacefully, voluntarily, through creating value for value exchanges, like a lot of companies do. And we can be against people who use coercion, whether it's the state, whether it's kidnappers, murderers, thieves, arsonists. So this is a true division, not this fake black versus white, America versus Russia, rich versus poor. They even tried to divide the old versus the young in the last 2 years. They said, look, you want to go outside, not because you have dreams to pursue, not that you have other values. You want grandmothers to die. That's why you wanted, you just want to go get a haircut, was what was the classic COVIDian line. So that's why I'm a little optimistic, is because it's much less about logical arguments that people are really passionate about. They really get passionate when, hey, can I find someone to hate? Can I find someone to admire? And I think we have a lot of those people. Walter Williams being a great example.
Yep, I totally, I just, first of all, I love your energy. I love everything that you're bringing. Okay, so libertarianinstitute.org is the website.
Yes.
Is there a social media presence people can follow?
Of course, you can follow us at Libertarian INST on Twitter. We also have Facebook. It was the only name available. I think some others were taken. Well, maybe under the Musk regime, we might have some more options.
Hey.
We should probably double check. Our general plan is to not have deadlines where at a certain time we have to put something out. We try to only put something out where we say, look, if someone clicks on this, is their time going to be respected? Are they really going to learn something that's evergreen? Is it going to be important next week, the week after, and a year after? Whereas with CNN and Fox, you could watch them 24 hours a day and not learn anything. It's like, I forgot who I was supposed to hate yesterday, but today it's someone brand new.
So you're almost like even respecting the non-aggression principle with my time.
Yes.
You're like, am I wasting your time?
Exactly. Well, I'm a little bitter because I did feel like a lot of us at the Institute felt like our time wasn't respected at a lot of colleges and universities. So much busy work that we're like, look, we never want anyone to have to do what we just went through at this thing. So, 12 years of education, and it's like so explicitly bad that even the progressives are like, look, after 12 years of this, you need college. Like, it's not even an argument. Like, you already start saving because it's so bad, you're going to need more. I would love to, I think I'm going to open up a car mechanic shop that says, after 12 weeks of having your car, you're going to have to take it to a different mechanic. That's how bad we are. They're explicitly admitting that after 12 years of state education, you need more.
You need more. It's
that
not good
is,
enough.
I know, and the reality is you need less. Anything else you want?
Okay, one last quick thing, because we just did a comedic short about the pothole that has been at the end of our road for literally 3 years. Literally, not even exaggerating, 3 years, never been fixed, or it's been paved over. And so one of the things that I hear all of the time as a person who is of the libertarian ilk is, well, what about the roads and bridges? If we don't have government, who's going to take care of the roads? And I'm like, yo, the roads are already garbage. They're not taking it. What are you talking about?
Well, remember when Domino's started going around and fixing the potholes, and they've been doing it ever since?
Are they still doing that?
So the answer is Domino's. Another answer is any organization that sees that it's profitable to create paved tar in order for many people to get from one place to another. It's the equivalent of saying, well, you're not going to be able to go from one place to another without being charged a fee. Well, you can go on the internet to almost any website that has to pay for servers, and it's them giving, it's these private companies having an incentive to bring people to where they are so they can hopefully buy something. That's the same way that roads are going to work. There's thousands of miles of private roads that we don't even know about. You can just go on Google Maps, type in private roads, and you'll see you're constantly crossing over private roads all the time. Parking structures are, roads that are private in certain areas. I mean, the idea that the free market can build this automobile that can get you 60 miles an hour safely, but it can't flatten tar and then paint over it, it's just so ridiculous.
It is. It absolutely. And you know what? Roads existed before the government did, I feel like. I mean, they may not have been like perfect and cute and highways, but it definitely seems like some industrious entrepreneur, business owner has the capacity. I feel like, I mean, you just said it, right? Like almost like the government isn't the only one that owns construction equipment. They don't have a monopoly on asphalt or concrete.
Of course, it's already private companies that do it, and there's actually demand for this. It's not like, well, then Raytheon will also be the military-industrial complex under libertarianism. Well, people don't have the incentive to directly fund that, whereas they do have the incentive to have roads. It would work just like a telephone service, just like a gym membership. Or it would be totally free.
See this? It's so, you say it and you're like, this is so reasonable and casual and obvious, but people don't get it. They really don't. So thank you, Keith. Thank you for the Libertarian Institute for trying to help make things easy and accessible and understandable.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, and I love that book. I already forgot I need to reread it. Thanks, thanks for having me.
Bye, guys. Thank you so
Of
much.
course.